Did you miss me?
Not necessarily. I'm sorry. That was really mean. That was really mean. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate you. Today, we're going to be catching up with a pretty frequently recurring character on my channel who I haven't really talked about in a couple months, and that is Anna, or GlitterandLazers. I have done a history lesson on her. I have done many reactions to her because I just think she's a very interesting person on the internet, and I have not talked about her in a couple months, but there still has been a lot going on, and so we're gonna just get into that. I know I again am late to this, but I'm sorry. That's just how it is over here sometimes, or like all the time. So I'm sorry, but it's whatever. Anyways, let's just get into it. Before we get into today's video, I want to thank today's video sponsor, FlexiSpot. Now, FlexiSpot has been a longtime friend of the channel. I think they were even my first, if not one of my first brand partners on my channel. I even used their standing desks before I started making videos. So I've been in the process of redecorating my apartment, and my office is very much still like the last bit that I have to really tighten up. There's very much like crap catching corner over here, but my computer corner is very nicely decorated and very nicely set up thanks to FlexiSpot. Right now my monitors and my keyboard are set up on the Comhar all-in-one standing desk, which is the one that I had before I even started working with them. This month they sent me their E7 Pro standing desk to put alongside my Comhar standing desk to put my PC on, and I love it. So let's just talk about it for a second, shall we? The E7 Pro has a 440-pound weight limit, which I can attest to because I was crawling around trying to hook up all the little cords and stuff on the back of my PC, and so instead of like moving anything forward, I just got up on the desk and crawled around to the back, and you know what, it worked. And I felt very stable while doing so. And it features a 25-inch to about a 50-inch, maybe a little bit over, height adjustment range, and it's also super stable no matter what height you have it at. I also love that the E7 Pro comes with a cable management system because there's some cables that you need to set up for the standing mechanism, but also for any other cables that I have running rampant underneath my desk. It's really great for that. It keeps everything looking nice and clean, but more importantly, it keeps them out of the reach of my cats. So FlexiSpot is currently running Brand Day and Memorial Day sales, which are up to 65% off, and there are even some options to get 100% off, so like a free thing, which is great. And FlexiSpot provides all kinds of standing desks and ergonomic chairs and anything else that you might need for your home office. Even if you have a limited budget, you are absolutely going to find what you need without having to make any sacrifices on quality. Use the link down below in my description to shop FlexiSpot, and be sure to leave a note saying that Megan and I sent you if you do decide to buy anything, and use the code YTE7P50 to save an extra $50 off when you get the E7 Pro standing desk. And thank you so much to FlexiSpot for continuing to work with me on my channel, and as always, thank you so much to you guys for continuing to interact with my content so that brands like FlexiSpot want to keep working with me for 5 years plus, however long I've been going at this. Now let's just get back into the video. So if you don't know who Anna is, which is probably very unlikely if you are watching my channel, but who knows, she is a online personality influencer. She's definitely an influencer. She doesn't do anything she's not paid for. Anyways, started off very much like in the body positivity, fat acceptance space, and has then started a like health journey of sorts a while ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. I think I reacted to, first reaction video was to one of her videos talking about how she had kind of had like a wake-up call with her health, and how proud I was of her for being so honest about it, given that she was one of the most popular influencers in the body positivity, fat acceptance space. I've made a whole history lesson video on her as well, and so where I go way more into depth with the issues surrounding surrounding her and why people don't necessarily like her anymore and whatever. Basically now she's been on a journey with her lipedema. The way she's gone about it is very questionable, much like the way she goes about a lot of things on her channel, in that we don't really know if she'd be talking about it the way that she was talking about it if she wasn't getting cut a check for it, okay? And so that is like the main issue. Journey with getting diagnosed and all of that. And she also has a podcast of her own with a doctor where they talk about different like medical mysteries or like people's medical diagnoses history. A lot of times it has to do with, from what I've seen of it anyway, it has to do with like chronic illnesses, invisible chronic illnesses, things like that, which as someone who has an invisible chronic illness, I can really relate to that, right? But I think the issue with Anna and how she talks about her story is that her story is always changing, and she has been caught in many, many, many lies regarding her own narrative surrounding her health journey and things like that, and I've made videos on that. One being she was on a GLP-1 drug for a really long time and kind of touting her weight loss while she was on that as just diet and exercise. Then it came out that she was also partnering with the pharmaceutical company that made the GLP-1 drug. It was very messy. I have many videos talking about that, and anytime I talk about Anna, I talk about that because that is just so wild to me that that even happened at all. The last video I made about her was talking about the lipedema mamas because she's very deep into her lipedema treatment, which has now morphed into her getting various like plastic surgeries to remove the parts of her body that she says cannot be changed with diet and exercise and only can be removed due to the lipedema. I've been watching a lot of content on this, even though I haven't made my own. The clinic and the doctor that Anna is working with on all of these, which I believe she's being paid to talk about her experience on this too, because she does say in some of her posts that she is a partner with the clinic. The doctor that leads that clinic in anywhere else but America is very questionable. A lot of like the world's leading experts on lipedema do not like him very much because of his methods. And I have seen a lot of people who have lipedema or lymphedema talk about this same doctor and this same clinic and talk about the problems with how they operate and also the way in which Anna is going about her treatment for this. One of the main issues that a lot of people, myself included, have with Anna in regards to how she's talking about her lipedema journey and all of that is that she very rarely talks about the food that she's eating. When unfortunately, when it comes to treating these kinds of conditions is very, very important. Like, I know that carbs should be pretty limited because they can cause a lot of extra inflammation, which can then make the conditions worse or have like cause a flare up, that kind of thing. And Anna very famously has not really talked about what she's eating. She's only talked about getting certain parts of her body cut off to just combat the whole thing, which, because she's not talking about what she's eating, a lot of people who have these conditions or people who are just knowledgeable on the subject say that the surgeries that Anna has been going through are not necessary yet. I think that's very interesting to think about because I kind of thought the same thing. Anna's narrative surrounding the whole thing was that she had lost the amount of weight that she could lose before having any of these surgeries due to her condition. Basically, she maxed out on her weight loss with diet and exercise, and now she had to get these surgeries to lose more weight and continue losing weight. I'm not a doctor. I went to art school, as I say, but just knowing how unreliable of a narrator that Anna is, I really don't think she's had like the come to moment of how important her diet is to this. And I say this because there's video evidence of her being in treatment, lipedema treatment, but then eating things like bagels, eating things like giant things of cotton candy, very, very carb, sugar dense foods, which, like, everything in moderation. That's the only way you're going to do a health journey and actually stick to it and not lose your mind, right? But if you have an actual condition that is made worse by certain foods that you eat, I don't know if those things should be eaten in moderation anymore. Like, especially if you're talking about in a video prior to the video evidence of you eating bagels and cotton candy, how hard your life has been because of said conditions.
Okay, so this is a place I've always wanted to go to that just conveniently was here. I didn't know it was, but then I saw it. And I thought they were closed for the day, but they're just opening for the day so we can go. So we've been here like 30 to 40 minutes and it's still not up and running. And their artist is running late. And I have a limited amount of capacity for standing and walking today. And I really want that bagel. So we might have to abandon this side quest. And a little bummed, but it's okay. I'd rather have the bagel than this anyway. It's funny, right as I gave up hope, the artist showed up. Now we gotta wait like 10 minutes for the artist to make the creation. So, I'll be honest, I'm impatient and I'm tired of waiting, so this better be good. Okay, here we go. Whoa! It made it taste like cotton candy. It was really cool cotton candy. Okay. Get the Pop Rocks. Because that's cotton candy on another level. I just looked down. Of course. I hope you were worth it. You were. In 1 week, I am having surgery to address my lipedema. I'm trying to smile through it and I'm trying to live through it, but I am crying a lot. I'm not the problem. The condition is the problem.
And the bagel incident was just like a whole thing in itself. Again, I made a video on it. But she had even, I think in like March, she had come onto Instagram and made a very weird story, basically saying like, what I eat is none of your business. Even though, unfortunately, when you talk about a condition that can be made worse by what you eat, and you have made yourself basically like a lipedema influencer, right? I unfortunately think when you position yourself like that online, what you eat does become the internet's business. You know what I mean? So basically she said, let me look. I'll put the full clip here. But before we do that, there's also some words like typed out and it says, what I eat is none of your business. Am I the queen of perfect eating? Absolutely not. In fact, this past week has been filled with questionable food choices. That said, the challenges I deal with in my body is not a result of my food choices or my weight. And that's another big issue with Anna. And this is she creates a separation whenever talking about her lipedema, that her size is solely because of her lipedema and nothing else. But in the past, she has talked about so much that it is a result of lifestyle choices, diet choices, things like that. But now that she's gotten this diagnosis, she thinks that she's some like medical anomaly and that it has nothing to do, that her size has nothing to do with what she's eating or anything like that. Which, do I think that conditions like lipedema can make you bigger than you otherwise would be without them? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I have also seen so many people on social media or whatever, which like take that with a grain of salt, who also have lymphedema or lipedema, who are nowhere near Anna's size. And so I think personally it's dangerous spreading that narrative that like what I eat has, or like my size has everything to do with my lipedema and nothing to do with what I eat, when those two things are so intertwined. Anyways, the challenges I deal with in my body is not a result. Okay. I did not cause my fibrosis. It didn't cause my genetic issues. It did not cause me to have autoimmune disorders. Also, eating mashed potatoes every once in a while makes me nicer person. So that's what the text on screen says, but I'll put the clip here. Thank you to Sam at Every Size for having this in her video a couple months ago, because I could not find this story anywhere because Anna swiftly deleted it. But even if that was not the case, it would be gone by now. So
I'm just gonna rant for like 2 seconds. I don't do this very often, but I want to today. I want to rant. I'm so sick and tired of people coming on my account being like, when are you gonna address your diet? Y'all don't know what I eat. I don't make that much food content. I don't talk about what I eat. And frankly, you are not here watching me put food in my mouth. So how do you know what I'm eating? You see my body size and you make a lot of assumptions, but you don't know shit. Also, I'm in a slight flare up. Can you tell? She got those red cheeks, which means my immune system is pissed.
But then she followed it up with another image saying, some of you don't allow yourself to enjoy potatoes and it shows. I'm actually on what some would call a weight loss journey again, and I eat baked potatoes all the time. I posted on my Instagram story that I have rediscovered the magic of the baked potato and I'm never going back, and I stand by that, okay? That's like one thing ever since going on her lipedema treatment journey or whatever, is that she doesn't really talk about what she's eating, very much stands by the fact that it's nobody's business, and then will show herself eating like a lot of very junky foods that maybe people with these conditions shouldn't eat and maybe shouldn't take sponsorships from, because she also works with Starbucks a lot and promotes pretty sugary drinks from them. That has always rubbed me the wrong way in terms of how she talks about her lipedema. But a new development has been the way that Anna is going about her lipedema treatment and how she's talking about it, and how, like I said, she has not talked about what she eats very often, which like I've said a million times already, is a very big point of lipedema treatment, is what you're eating. And she has just seemingly gone straight to skin removal. I think she had like a brachioplasty, which, let me look that up to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so she's basically going through what I would consider like liposuction and or like extra skin and fat tissue removal. So like something that I looked into when I was at my absolute lowest after I had weight loss surgery, because I had a lot of excess skin and a lot of excess cellulite and stuff that I wouldn't be able to lose through diet and exercise and would have to just get cut off. I have seen so many people talking about how unnecessary, both people who have lipedema and all of that, and then people who are in that field of medicine, whatever, talking about how unnecessary this leap in treatment was, and how it's really hard to believe that Anna and or the doctor she is working with do not know that it's unnecessary. But I think either Anna and or the doctor are just seeing it as a way to make money. Anna will not talk about anything. Anna will not do anything on social media unless she is getting cut a check or being compensated some way, somehow, right? And so all of this, she was documenting her surgeries, all of this, being snarky on social media about people being like, okay, surgeries are great, what are you eating? Because that's also really important for like long-term treatment, culminated in her posting a video about 3 weeks ago, May 2nd, called We Need to Talk. And I believe this is about the entire surgery journey that she has been on. I have not watched it in full. And so we are going to react to that today. Because I have heard some things about it and I just want to check it out. And it's 27 minutes long. And so if there's anything that I don't feel is like necessary to keep in, I will cut it out just for brevity. But I'll let you know when I cut stuff out, when I start talking again. But yeah, we're just going to catch up with her on this because I catch up with her now about every couple months or so. And so we're due for this. And this video seemed like the perfect way to do that. So let's just get into the reaction. Okay, I had to take a break and go do some stuff and eat some food because I was really hungry. And so now we're back and it's been like a couple hours. So if I look a little bit different, that's why. But if you're wondering what I'm eating, my go-to breakfast lunch kind of situation, I usually eat it around like 10 or 11, so it keeps me full for a really long time, is vanilla Greek yogurt, 1 serving of that, with blueberries, half of a banana, 1 kiwi, and some strawberries all chopped up on the top. And then I put some Kodiak granola on the top, so there's like some added protein there, and cinnamon. That's what I eat for breakfast. That's what I'm eating for breakfast these days. Brunch kind of situation. Anyways, now we're back, and I'm gonna react to this video because it's 27 minutes long. And yep, all right, here we go. Let's go.
That was a lot. That was a lot. I have been waiting an entire year.
It's finally here.
To like live. And I've had to live this half-life for like 12 months. And so now I get to just go be me, but like better.
Says, this journey was incredibly complex and difficult. While we've done our best to capture it, some parts are impossible to fully show or explain.
Did you miss me?
Not necessarily. I'm sorry. That was really mean. That was really mean.
Back. I know that I have a lot to fill you guys in on, and I do really want to explain why I took some time away. But first, I feel like I need to catch you up on everything that's kind of happened since my last video. So right now, I'm actually leaving for my next surgery tomorrow, which is kind of wild to think about. I can't believe it's tomorrow, but I need to pack because I, of course, have not, because that's just who I am. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll see you at the airport.
So one thing you'll notice is that Anna will never not be caught in her lipedema compression gear. And I don't know if that's like necessary to wear all the time, but she like exercises in it and stuff now too. And to me, that sounds horrible. Like a sensory nightmare. Anybody who has to wear compression garments for any kind of reason, whether it be lipedema or whatever, let me know if that's necessary or if she's just doing it to like further show off her medical diagnoses, you know, because that's the vibe it gives me personally.
So obviously I already made a bunch of videos about surgery number 1, which you can watch here. There's a link up. But the whole objective of that surgery was to clear out my pelvic girdle and the outside of my thighs. And the reason they did that in surgery 1 is because it was the worst, the most congested area, and it was the place I was experiencing the most pain. One thing I definitely learned that I didn't anticipate was that it's a lot more emotional of a journey than I thought. I thought I would just bounce back and I would just be my old self right after surgery, but your hormones are like all over the place. And it's tough, and I don't like resting. It's just not something I like to do, and that was very mentally challenging for me to be in a place where I had to literally lay low. Like I already said, you guys have a lot more information about surgery 1 because I made those videos, and so I don't really have much more to add than what I've already put out there. I do need to kind of update you guys on surgeries 2 and 3, but I also need to catch this flight, so I'm gonna go, and when we get to Utah, I'll fill you guys in about those surgeries. Next stop, Utah. So we got to our hotel, and as you can tell, it is almost nighttime. Surgery 2 was an interesting one. It was to take care of my inner thigh, and I decided, and I, in hindsight, feel stupidly decided to go alone. I'm just waiting and shuffling around the room. Whoa. It's weird to not have someone to talk to. The last times I did this, I had someone with me, so I had like someone to talk to. I think that's so far the only thing that bothers me is that there's just no one to talk to while you wait. There's no one to talk to except you, internet. And that's
This is so nitpicky and I'm so sorry, but like I go to all my doctor's appointments alone. Normal for me, standard procedure. One thing I will talk about right now, because I feel like that we are already seeing some of it here, is that Anna grew up in the Mormon church. I don't know how much she's in it now, but she was in the Mormon church growing up, and she also went to like Brigham Young University, which is like the big Mormon college in America. One of the like very big things that comes with Mormonism is like toxic positivity. And I've talked about this in a lot of my Anna videos, but I think she is like the perfect example of that. And always having to smile through things. Even the way she just talked about like how the surgery wasn't as easy or like happy, or like how she wasn't able to bounce back as easily as she thought she was going to after surgery. Like, yeah, you're having a surgery. Like, I'm having a pretty, I guess, minor procedure at the end of June, but like I know I'm still gonna be like knocked down from it for a couple weeks, and then like also probably feeling some things about it afterwards, you know what I mean? And so like, you're having surgery, it's not gonna be sunshine and rainbows, but I think the Mormonism aspect of this is important, and I always try and remember to preface anything about Anna with that, because I think it's a big reason as to why she is the way that she is.
That's why there really wasn't a ton of content around it, because I was on my own and I was very overwhelmed, and it was not fun. And if there's one thing I learned from surgery number 2, don't go it alone. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to be superhero. You are there to heal. And I have a little bit of a superwoman complex. I can admit that. Like, I want to feel like I can do anything, and this I could not do alone. Okay. Straight up, I am about a couple hours post-surgery now, and I hurt. So I have a feeling that this recovery period is actually not going to go as smooth as the previous one. I don't think it's going to be unbearable. I don't think it's going to be something I can't deal with, but I'm already realizing that like every surgery is going to be different in terms of pain. And every surgery is going to be different in terms of who you are. So for me, I just happen to have a lot of fibrosis on the back of my legs. And we knew that from when we did parts of my knee on the outer side. But I was not prepared for how I feel right now, because I had such a great first experience that I thought it was like, I'm just going to be fine. I honestly think I will feel better standing and walking than I do laying, because laying forces me to put pressure on the places where the fibrosis was removed. I feel like I need to talk about this in every video, but you will fart and burp a lot, like a lot, and you will feel gross. It is normal. And I think there's a certain like acceptance that happens after like the 3rd day of all out farting for your life, where you're just like, this is me now, I'm a fart factory, and then it'll stop. So,
Farting for your life.
Fart factory. I'm owning that truth. One of the things that was really hard post the second surgery as well is that I was not fully recovered from my first surgery. It was 2 surgeries really back to back, coming out of recovery and then going immediately into another surgery. And when I say recovery, I mean like the very initial stages of recovery. And this is something that I realize people do not understand. They expect like the results to be immediate. And I think that's because people are very familiar with like weight loss surgery, where you do see results very quickly. Like people begin to lose weight and they're like, oh, her body's changed. That is not how these surgeries work. The recovery period for these is up to like 18 months to 2 years.
So I understand that like 18 months to 2 years is probably a very long time to wait in between surgeries, but like being so unrecovered, so like by her own admission, seems like very strange to me that she would go then and have another surgery. And it seems very strange and irresponsible on the surgeon's ends of things for her to admit herself that she hadn't even gone through like the initial steps of recovery yet. Seems weird that they would just go boom, boom, boom. Let me know if that's not weird, but to me that feels weird. Secondly, very odd comparing this to weight loss surgery, I had weight loss surgery, so, which you all probably know, but if you're new here, you don't. I had weight loss surgery in 2018. The results with that aren't even that quick. Like, they are quicker than like if you were losing weight, like quote unquote naturally, like with just diet and exercise, but like they're still not that quick, especially like right after surgery, because you're super bloated. So, I mean, depending on which one you had, but like you're super bloated from when they extend your abdomen with the gas to like get into where they need to get to laparoscopically. Yeah, that's a pretty slow progression as well for most people. Whenever Anna talks about weight loss surgery, I get a little defensive because it's just so clear to me that she doesn't know how it works. But she talks again like it's like an authority on it, or like she does know what she's talking about, which I talked about this in the Lipedema Mama's reaction, in where I said I just don't think that Anna is like far enough along in her progress with this whole thing to be talking like the authority that she is talking like on it. And I say that as someone who has a chronic illness as well, and I've had it diagnosed for almost 13 years. Now I feel like I have a pretty good like grasp on it and that I can talk about it to people. But like Anna's only been at this for like maybe a year, maybe a little bit more than that. I just don't feel like that's enough time and enough time on the other side of it to be like, yes, this is the way to go, this isn't the way to go, whatever, you know what I mean? And that is also an issue that I take with the way that Anna talks about this whole thing.
Really have to say about that. I am tired. I'm also hungry, so we're gonna go get some dinner, and the next time I will see you guys,
what are you gonna eat for dinner, Anna? What are you gonna eat? Are you gonna show us? I want to see.
Actually be tomorrow morning when we are taking pre-op photos, because it's at 9:30, which means I gotta get up at a terrible hour.
Oh no, not 9:30 pre-op. I think my weight loss surgery was at like 6 a.m. Bestie queen. Oh God. Okay. Sorry.
Pray for me. I am so tired. Good morning, internet. I am here at the Roxbury Institute now. We're gonna do my pre-op photos, get ready for surgery tomorrow, and I'm gonna tell you guys all about surgery number 3. With that, let's get going, because I'm actually...
God, this just seems like so much and like so unnecessarily fast. Like back to back to back. Like that just seems very unnecessary and like so much. But I don't know how this works, but to me, 3 surgeries in the short amount of time she's been having surgeries just seems like so much.
Late.
And like it would exhaust anybody. You know what I mean? There's gonna be some B-roll here of the Roxbury Institute, and I think I'm just gonna cut it out. Yep. They didn't pay me, so.
So every time before we actually have surgery, we take what's called pre-op photos, and this allows us to compare pre and post surgery. And it's highly controlled, so like your body's in the same positioning. I wear the same exact underwear set every single time, and it just allows you to have a really fair comparison. We talk a lot about online about how comparisons aren't always genuine. People are standing in different ways, wearing different clothing, things are pulled up higher or lower. This allows a real, true, honest comparison before and after. And so I have really focused on making sure I always have the same underwear set. I always have the same poses. I'm always smiling in my photos. I don't want you to think that I'm like sad at the beginning and happy at the end, because that's bullshit too. So I like that I have.
If this is causing you pain, wouldn't you be happier in the after picture? Like, is that not a fair assumption to make? Like, I get why people look happier in before and after pictures just with weight loss in general. Like, you were unhealthier before than you were after. Wouldn't you be smiling too? I don't know.
Of this to be able to show like the results in a real, like almost scientific way.
It's literally just a photo studio. There's nothing scientific about that. I am not a doctor. I went to art school. Okay? There's nothing scientific about a photo studio. I'm sorry, I couldn't. I had to.
This is the last time I will take these photos before surgery. Though I probably will come back to probably LA to take a final round of photos in about a year. We're doing a second round of photos like this just because I am having torso surgery and we want to be able to specifically see the torso, and the underrib does kind of hide that. So we'll have different photos for just this surgery. That's it for the pre-op for this last surgery. Just so excited to be done. Like, I have no regrets about doing it, but I am ready. I'm ready to close this chapter and get to live. Right across from the surgical center is this like farm. I don't know what this is, but there's cows and there's sheep. There's a lot of people, and I figured we'll just find a place here because it's so pretty to sit down and chat, and I can, you know, finish updating you on all the things that I need to update you on. But man, points for having surgery in Utah is this. So in my third surgery, I had my calves and my arms done, which included a brachioplasty. And what this meant is simultaneously my legs and my arms were at a very like incapacitated state, especially my arms. I can actually move my arms a lot more than I thought I would be able to. I can go up to 90 degrees, and honestly, it's less painful than it was before surgery, so I love it. Also feels real weird. You're worried about lifting or doing anything, so you really just can't do much with your arms. And then your legs are kind of messed up. So like, for example, getting up, when your legs are weak, you use your arms, right? But I couldn't do that. So there are times where I literally had to physically be helped getting in and out of bed, which I did not love because, again, if you haven't catch the theme of the video, I'm not good at taking help from other people. And I think physically that's why it was so challenging for me, is I did have to really step back in surgery 3 and rely on other people. I'm a little woozy, so we in a wheelchair. Wee! 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 Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like a real... Okay. So now I'm gonna wait for her to get the car in this wheelchair. So we're back to rolling bandages. We've been kind of intermittently filming this trip, mostly because it's hard. My hands are tired and I'm actually feeling really good today. So this is like kind of the first day. So I haven't been able to self-film, which is what I usually do. I actually am kind of proud that I can wrap the bandages today because I don't think I could have done this before today. So progress. I wasn't in pain, and that was like the hardest part about it, is like every day I knew I couldn't do these things, but I wasn't getting signals from my body that I was in pain and needed to stop doing them. I just knew to follow my protocols. I couldn't do them. So like, you can't raise your arm above 90 degrees. You can't lift more than would be a gallon of water. So like things like putting on your compression, where you use a lot of force to pull them on, is hard. So I had to stand there while somebody else pulled my pants up. And that is, you know, it's a way of being humbled that I never knew I would experience. I did actually have some additional complications, which then extended those physical limits from the usual 4 weeks to like almost 8 weeks. So double the time that most people experience. But you know what? We're going to talk about that more, because I think at this point it kind of crosses over to how it affected me emotionally, and I think that's a whole...
I think I accidentally did not record with my microphone for the last 8 minutes or so, maybe. But honestly, I wasn't really saying a whole lot because it was just Anna talking about her pre-op experience, or her post-op experience, and being honest about how it was hard for her to have the amount of, or to need the amount of help from other people that she did in recovery. And I think this is really interesting. And I don't mean to be a dick when I talk about this, because like I know I am still fat. Like, I know that I would need certain accommodations too in situations like this, but like, I can't help but wonder, like, we're 12 minutes in, about halfway through, and she talks so much about how she hates needing the help of other people in her recovery, which I understand. I'm the same way with anything. I'm really bad at asking for help with literally anything. But one of my things when I had like the wake up call that I did before I had weight loss surgery was I realized like the amount of extra help I would need if I was ever in like a medical emergency. And I was maybe, and I'm not saying this to be an asshole, but maybe like half the size of what Anna is now. And I just can't help but wonder, like, if she was in a medical emergency, like, the extra accommodations she would need to be able to be helped out of that. And like how much longer helping her out of that would then take because of it. And this is just like and I'm not saying if you are a certain size, don't call 911, don't get help, you know what I mean? But like, I think when you're living in a body that's when your body's a certain size, you have to kind of be realistic about like, it's going to take more people to lift me out of places. It's going to take different equipment to lift me out of places. At least I think so. And I don't know. I just, I have to wonder about that because it seems like she doesn't like asking for help. It seems like she doesn't like being a burden on other people, which I completely understand. But for me, that was like a wake-up call. And I think that's also part of the danger of her like separating her weight from her lipedema and refusing to like acknowledge that her weight isn't just lipedema and that some of it she can be working towards making better, you know what I mean? And I don't know. That was just something, it's not a fully formed thought, but that was just something that I thought about listening to her talk about all of this.
Room and start the procedure. I had all these things planned. I was going to film for TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and you know what? I'm not doing them because I'm nervous and I just want to have the surgery. I just want to have the surgery and I want it to be successful, and that is where I want to put my energy right now. So I kind of threw all of my plans out the wall, which is very unlike me, but you know what? It feels good to just put my needs first and focus on, this whole long process. It's going to be about 6 hours of surgery. So this is not a short, simple thing. It is going to be intense, but they're hoping that I will have pain reduction immediately. As you could see when they were doing the markings on my arms and stuff, I am having a lot of shoulder and elbow pain, and just holding my arms up is quite difficult for me right now. So these things will allow me to do things that I used to love a lot that now are kind of hard, like my makeup and my hair. Those are sometimes challenging things for me right now. So I think it's going to open up a world of possibility of what I feel comfortable doing. This is probably the hardest part of the surgical process to talk about, because it's like physical pain is easy to explain and easy for people to understand, but emotional pain is really challenging to describe. And it's all relative, right? Everybody feels things differently. And I guess that's true for physical pain too, but I think people comprehend it better. My third surgery was really hard because I had a complication. I had what's called spitting stitches. Now, it is normal to have a couple of those, but I ended up spitting every single stitch of a certain type, which ended up creating about 35 different wounds on my arms, which required me to do a lot of wound care to stop a lot of my activity to like the bare minimum, keeping my arms elevated and literally just not moving them to try to let those wounds heal. It's also why I started hyperbaric therapy, and it was rough, and I took that on myself. I thought it was my fault. I thought I was a bad patient. I thought I was a failure. My doctor always said to me through the surgical process, like, you can't win surgery. And even though he said that every single time we talked, I couldn't believe it in that instant. I blamed myself a lot.
I really feel for Anna with complications and stuff. Like, that sounds awful. I am lucky enough to, knock on wood, there's some, I really haven't had a whole lot of complications with any surgery that I've had. I think the only thing I could really consider is when I got my wisdom teeth out, and every single one of them turned into dry sockets, even though I was doing literally everything I was supposed to. But other than that, I've been pretty lucky in that regard. I say that having a surgery at the end of June, knock on wood, you know, but again, I just have to think, like, Anna paints herself to be a victim a lot, and I'm not saying that she's not that this isn't something that she can't complain about, you know what I mean? I can't help but think if, like, maybe, and this is big for me to say, okay, knowing what I know about this doctor, I worry that he has pushed her to have too many surgeries or too many surgeries too fast, because everything I've been seeing in the discourse surrounding this with people who know what they're talking about is how unnecessary these surgeries are for her at her point, at the point she's at in her like treatment process. And so hearing about this complication makes me really sad, you know, like I'm not always an asshole, you know. I'm very rarely an asshole, honestly, but like that makes me really sad if this like wasn't necessary for her to go through right now. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and cry because I feel like emotionally I've moved past that. But there was about 2 months where I was probably the most depressed I've ever been because I couldn't do anything that I normally did. Like I couldn't even like get a plate from a counter, right? And my physicality was so limited, and now it was limited for an even longer time than I had mentally prepared myself for. On top of that, just like I talked about in my previous surgeries, there were a lot of hormonal changes, and it just compounded to a place that I wasn't in a great space. A lot of people have been asking me, like, why are you not on YouTube? Like, why did you take a break? Why are you taking so long to come back? Are you coming back? When are we going to see you again? And I made the decision after that second surgery, when I kind of had that emotional moment, to pull back because I needed to just make sure that I could take care of myself. I love making content. I love sharing my story. I love connecting with you all. And I love, you know, educating on lipedema. But my first priority was my health. And my health was just not at a place that I could do that. Mentally, I was not in the right headspace. And I was incredibly grateful that when I went through this huge, massive emotional struggle around surgery 3, that I didn't have that extra burden. I have not logged in or looked at YouTube in probably 5 months. And I probably won't look at YouTube. Mostly because I don't think it's a really great place for me. I think the hardest thing about being such a public figure going through something as, you know, challenging this in like a bigger body is that people have a lot of opinions about it, and they honestly research your life in a way that I just never anticipated. I don't honestly think I'm that important or that interesting to have merited the content that came out of this journey from other people. It was something I did not emotionally or mentally plan for in any way, because I just didn't think I was that important. I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and if people want to question that or recast that narrative, that doesn't change who I am. I'm here for the people that need to learn about these surgeries, that need to be educated about these illnesses, who also need help, who don't know where to go, don't know where to start, don't know what it looks like. That's what I'm here for. And if anybody has an issue with that, then that's them. I think what I hate most about this whole situation is not so much that people have said stuff about me, because I think that just happens being a creator, but I think it's been seeing my fans get so angry for me. I just want you guys to know that I'm okay, and I appreciate you, and I am so grateful for all you've done to like stand up for me, to show your support for me, to check in with me. Like, I know I'm not the best at sometimes talking about that, because sometimes I feel weird. It's weird. I didn't expect to be here in this position, and sometimes I'm still figuring out how to communicate that in a way that feels authentic and like real. But I do not think I would have been able to get to the place I am right now in kind of looking at all of this without realizing just how many people out there have my back, but also how many people out there that I've actually like been able to help by finding diagnoses or just finding strength that maybe they'll get their answer to their, you know, medical issues. And so I think I just feel like if I don't acknowledge you in this, I'm that would be the failure of this video, is to spend all this time talking about the frustrations of this process without acknowledging that like I'm only here in this point having this conversation with this camera because so many of you have been there for me. And that is
really, really the only reason that I'm back is because of y'all. Okay, well, I need to go get something to eat and get ready for surgery because that's happening tomorrow. Again, for the last time, for a while. I might have to have other surgeries in the future. I realize that, so I don't want to say forever, but at least for a long time. For a long time. And that's something to be really excited about.
Okay, I just wanted to let her get all that out just before I started saying anything. I hate, and I think she continues talking about this later on in the video because I have seen some clips. I cannot stand how she talks about the quote-unquote hate that she's gotten surrounding this whole thing since being public about it on the internet. Well, okay, first of all, I understand that some people can just be nasty and just say horrific stuff. Okay, I understand that. And that's not okay. That's not okay at all. But what I will also say is, like, you chose to put this on the internet and you chose to speak with such authority about it when you hadn't come out the other side of it yet, which I know I already talked about. And you have chosen the way that you've presented this online, and you've also chosen the things that you've done in the past online that make people not trust you. And so I think it's only reasonable to expect that you're gonna get backlash on it. Okay, like, and I understand that maybe you're staying true to yourself or you feel like you're staying true to yourself, and I get that, but like, you chose to put this online. You chose to be so outspoken about it, which is not necessarily a bad thing when it comes to stuff like this that nobody talks about, right? But when it's coming from someone who has already been proven to be such an unreliable narrator or just a liar, and from someone who has been proven time and time again to not talk about things unless you're getting paid for it, like, it's only reasonable to expect that you're gonna get some backlash for that, at least in my opinion, you know? And like, that's why even I haven't really talked about like the weight I've lost, or I hadn't talked about the weight I'd lost in numbers until like last week or the week before. I recognize that if I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, like, I'm gonna get met with some criticism for that. And I get that. 100%. Like, I've seen criticism of me online, and some of it I don't necessarily disagree with. There's a lot of context missing from some of the criticism, yes, but like, am I gonna come online and talk about that? No, because it's like a big thing and not my story to tell, and also kind of traumatic. So like, yeah, I knew when I started talking numbers that lives online now. Right? The internet is the internet, and the internet is going to remember. And I think that's the issue that Anna is running into with receiving the quote unquote hate that she gets surrounding this, which is just like criticism and like cynicism from people who don't trust her as a creator. I don't trust her as a creator anymore. I used to, but now that she's done the things she's done and she's portraying herself the way that she is online, like, I can't trust her. And so like, I don't know if she's really the most reliable person to be talking about this either, like, but she can do what she wants, like, she can make the content she wants, you know, but like, yeah, I don't know, I think, but she's just so unaware of or like unwilling to accept the criticism that she gets surrounding past stuff that like, it makes sense to me why she doesn't understand why she's getting criticism about the way she's talking about and documenting this.
Good morning. I'm very tired. It is 6 a.m. I've been up pretty much all night. I foolishly thought this is going to be the surgery I sleep through the night. It was not. I was up all night, and I guess that's just consistent with every other surgery I've had. So I'm exhausted, but that's fine because I'm going to be like, have a sleep for the rest of the day. So I can rest in surgery. I'm all surgery prepped, and they're kind of just getting everything ready. The anesthesiologist will be here soon. So now that markings are done, everything's done, it is time for surgery. So they are gonna go Hebe cleanse my body and get this rolling. I don't know if we'll have shots from this. This is a little bit more difficult to film while also keeping it appropriate for the internet. So you might just see me on the other side. I guess you'll know in a little bit if we were able to film or not. So I'll take you guys later. So I just had my first MLD post-surgery. It's kind of weird because of all the surgeries I've had, I feel like the most normal.
the most me, the most comfortable after this surgery. I don't know if it's because it was the last one or if just like some magic is in the air in Utah. But honestly, I feel great. And if anything, I'm having to like temper down what I want to do because honestly, I feel really good. After this, you know, I still have 2 weeks or so of recovery left, but really this is the end of my surgery journey as far as I know. And now I get to just live. So yeah, literally no regrets. More strong than I've ever said it in my life. No regrets on this decision. I feel like how I feel right now is weirdly amazing, and I didn't anticipate to feel this good. I didn't. Okay, so we're back from Utah. I am 2 weeks post-op right now, so honestly, I'm starting the like journey towards just getting to be Anna without surgery looming over her head anymore. It's hard to explain that like each surgery changes you a little bit more. It's not like you get out of surgery 1 and everything's magically fixed. You have to go through all of them. So you're kind of having to play this like faith card of like so much surgery before you get to see like the big results. And so, you know, that was a crushing anxiety on me. Like, I don't know what I would have done. I would have blamed myself. Fortunately, I did start to see like the big changes really right after this surgery. By the time I left, you know, Salt Lake, the day before I left, I was doing, you know, over a mile walk at the little farm that's across from the center there, where the cows and all the cute little animals are. And honestly, it was a great distraction. So I wasn't really thinking about how much I was walking, but to be walking that much and feeling still really fine after it was unusual. And then the Salt Lake airport is notoriously very long if you're not flying Delta. I was not flying Delta. And I walked the whole thing. I didn't get a wheelchair. I didn't get help. I did it by myself. And I felt totally capable and okay doing that. There have been times where I have flown home alone, especially surgery number 2, where I did not feel safe or good or that I was okay and was kind of terrified the whole time flying home. When I think about like what I learned through this process, I learned a lot about myself personally, but then I also learned a lot about myself as a creator, which is like a weird thing to have to also learn, but I did. Personally, I learned that good things take time, that sometimes the only way through is through, and that it may not make sense the whole way through, but you just have to like trust the process. And there was a lot of trust in this journey and a lot of like moments where maybe I didn't share those moments as much, but you know, you wonder, in the end, will this work for me? And I mean, honestly, I still don't know. So I still have a little bit of that like heaviness, but I'm trusting that process. I'm doing the things my doctors want me to do. And it's gotten me to the place I'm at right now, which is significantly better than when I started. It's helping me realize that some of the bigger goals and the bigger things I want to do with my life, which may or may not have anything to do with the internet, are going to take time. And it's going to be frustrating the time it takes. But if you can stick with it, you know, you will get there in the end, right? I believe I will get there in the end. And I think this journey has taught me that. Publicly, I think what I learned is that I don't owe anybody an explanation or a justification for why I've made the choices I've made for my health. And, you know, this year has been really awful in terms of the way people have spoken about me online, have, you know, critiqued what I've gone through, and to be going through something, she just woke up, something as traumatic. Like, surgery is traumatic. It is difficult. It is heavy emotionally. It is heavy physically. It's heavy socially. It's heavy financially. Like, it hits you in a lot of different ways. And to have people jump in and add an additional layer of trauma, or try to add an additional layer of trauma, made me realize that people who feel comfortable doing that to someone are not people I should listen to or people I should invite into my life. And so honestly, this surgery has helped me create boundaries. It's a weird thing to say, but it's made me realize that I deserve to protect myself, like that I
that no matter what I do in my life, people are not going to like parts of it, and they're not going to believe me, or they're not going to want to support me. Like, that's life. And when you are a creator that is like really freaking public, and you're going to get a lot more of those people because you're just have more.
Okay, I'm going to pause here to talk about this. It's the same sentiment as the last thing, honestly, but like, I will say that I have criticized creators on here for not being open enough about things that they were doing to lose weight or to change their bodies or whatever. And I think I can commend Anna for being so open about this. Again, it's like, it's the same thing of like, you chose to put this online. You chose to be as open as you did. You also know some people online are just like really fucking awful to you. And is that okay? Not necessarily. Is it a lot of people calling her out on her lying, her changing her story constantly, her just speaking as an authority on things that she is not an authority on? That's the majority of what I see. I see some people being outwardly just terrible to her, and that's not okay. But like, I see a lot of people just rightfully critiquing her being the one telling this story, which like, it is hers, and I'm not going to take that away from her. I don't know if she'd be the most credible person to take this kind of story from if you were going through the same thing, because also there's the added element of she was a partner with the clinic. Did she actually pay for this, or was it given to her for free? Was she paid to talk about it, which is another added element, right? And it's so dystopian to me that like, we are questioning if influencers were truthful about getting paid to talk about medical treatments. Like, that's crazy to me. What, she lied about being paid or working with a pharmaceutical company because she's an influencer. That's like very dystopian to me whenever I talk about it, you know? That's like the main reason why a lot of people feel like they can't trust her with this, is because she has lied about her experiences or her compensation and stuff in the past with similar things, right? And so like, this video is showing to me how at least maybe willfully ignorant she is, or just plain ignorant she is to the very valid critiques that she gets online, due to her past behaviors. And she hasn't owned up to like literally any of it to this point, to my knowledge. So it just shows me how, like I said, like willfully ignorant or just ignorant she is to like how problematic some of her past behaviors have been. And that's why people can't take her seriously when she talks about this. And does that suck? Yeah. But is there a way to like rectify that whole situation? Yes. And that's owning up to your past stuff. I just hate how she's making it seem like the viewers and the people who were, like I said, rightfully critiquing her on her experiences, or on her retelling of her experiences, are like the reason she wasn't on YouTube or whatever. You know, I don't know. I don't like that. I feel for Anna that this was a very big undertaking for her, and like, it would be a big undertaking for anybody. And I respect her for documenting it the way she did, but I also don't think that it is unreasonable to expect that people are going to be critical of it because of your past actions online.
Last week and a half, it made me realize how much I was carrying and living with and putting up with and not acknowledging, simply because I didn't know that there was anything different than that. And so if anything, I'm walking out of this just so much more grateful to the person I went in, who did a lot of really incredible hard things in a body that just did not cooperate. And so, you know, it's making me really think about, how do I be part of the change in the way people see and understand this illness? So it's just changed. It's changed everything. Is that the simple answer? Is it's changed everything. And it is changing me in ways that I don't even know yet. When I think about what's next, obviously I'm back, and I will be bringing back hauls because I have heard you loud and clear. You miss them. And you know what? I'm excited to do them now with my body changing. It's gonna be fun to like just explore my new ride. I basically had the human version of Pimp My Ride. So I want to explore, you know, what works for my body now. And then that'll be fun to do with you guys through hauls. And I think there will be more than that, but I'm letting myself be open. The reason I'm back is because I love this community and because y'all have reached out and because you've been so kind to me and so supportive and so encouraging. And it made me realize that I need to find ways to connect more with you. It's just the beginning of something really exciting and fun. And that's taking me back to where all of this started for me. It's been a lot. We've talked about a lot. And I feel like I needed to do this to just like catch y'all up on like where I was, what I did, etc., etc. So now you know. Now you know everything that's gone on, what I've been through, etc., etc. And now we get to start having some fun. So with that, I hope you find joy in your life today. I hope you find a reason to smile, and I'll see you guys next time.
That's that on that. I don't really know what else to say. I think I've said pretty much everything I wanted to. Let me know what you think of this down below. I know the reaction was long. I've been recording this for like 50-some minutes, so this will be a nice, juicy, long video for y'all that like those. I'm wondering if maybe this is like a pivot, a rebrand away from the lymphedema influencer era of Anna, which I think going back to hauls might be good for her for a while. Leave a rainbow emoji down below because it is the 26th when I'm filming this, which means Pride Month is 5 days away. And that means for the entire month of June, you are legally obligated to only be nice to me, okay? Yeah, leave a rainbow emoji down below if you made it this far. Let me know what you think, as always. Thank you to FlexiSpot for sponsoring today's video and for sending me some new goodies for my office and making my life considerably easier with having nice desks. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for making this far. Thank you so much for making it this far. If you have, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, drink your water, take your meds if you need them, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.